Today's episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott. Now, Joe is not only a fantastic guitar player, he draws on his years of experience as the ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and also at the McNally Smith Music College. Here's a few words from Joe about the course.
If you're tired of wading through hundreds of random guitar videos and just want to become a better player, Fretboard Biology is your answer. Fretboard Biology is a self-paced, college-level program that'll give you the right instruction, in the right amounts, and in the right order. You'll learn the same information I taught to thousands of other guitar players over 30 years of teaching in top music colleges. If you want to make real progress with your guitar playing, then sign up for a free 7-day trial at fretboardbiology.com.
Hi there, you are listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. My name's Matt Wakeling, and thank you so much for joining me for episode number 205. Now today I am going to attempt to merge a discussion on two of my favourite things in the world, indeed the galaxy, I should say, and that is guitars and Star Wars. Now, for many of us, we think of music and Star Wars, and of course, the amazing symphonic themes from John Williams pop up to mind. Of course they do, and rightly so. But there are also guitars in a galaxy far, far away. Today I am joined by Gabe Bot, and a fantastic composer, musician, arranger, and one half of the Blastpoints Podcast team. Gabe joins me to talk about guitars in the cinematic releases, the increased use of guitar in some of the more recent streaming services, talk about cool Star Wars gear, Gabe's own compositions and arrangements, and other bands doing unique things with some of those musical themes that we all know and love. Now for me, this was a super fun conversation, and even if you are the most casual of Star Wars fans, I think you're going to find some stuff to enjoy. So let's jump straight into the conversation. Gabe Bot, welcome to the Guitar Speak podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Gabe, I'm super excited because we're going to talk lots of music and guitar stuff, but you, as one of the co-hosts of the Blastpoints podcast, you are a bona fide Star Wars fan, Star Wars expert. And I love the Blastpoints podcast. It's one of my favorite shows. And obviously you guys love music, and yourself, you're involved in lots of production as well. So it's cool for me. It's super cool fun to combine the music and the Star Wars with a guitar flavor. So thank you for your time today. I'm really stoked.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, this is great. Like I was saying, I don't usually get the opportunity to talk music and guitars and Star Wars all at the same time. So this is a pleasure for me as well.
Oh, awesome. Now, when we think of Star Wars music, of course, we're thinking of John Williams and his amazing soundtrack, which, I mean, really, he's the fifth Beatle in all of this. Or maybe Ben Bird is as well. Maybe there's lots of fifth Beatles, but John Williams is certainly massive in the Star Wars galaxy, and of course there's no guitars in that stuff, it's all orchestral, but with a little bit of digging there is some really cool guitar stuff obviously going on in Star Wars special effects, but also in some of the more recent productions through Disney Plus. So can we start with special effects? Where have guitars been used in the Skywalker saga as special effects?
Well, I think the most noticeable and most obvious one is in Attack of the Clones during the speeder chase in Coruscant. The sound effect for Zam Wessel's spaceship, her little speeder, is just mostly a guitar. I'm sure there's some other things mixed in there, but in the Sounds of Star Wars book, which is written by J.W. Rinsler and Ben Burt, which is an excellent book if you're into Star Wars sound effects and audio. We've done a million episodes on the show about that book because there's so much information. And he goes into detail in there about one of his friends that he plays in a church band with, this guitarist named Dave Weaver. He had him make a bunch of sounds on the guitar and ended up using those to make the sound effect for that ship.
That's cool. That's great. I never knew that, and my ears always like listening for guitar stuff, but until you guys pointed that out, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. So it's kind of like a dive bomb with some extra processing going on there.
Well, what's funny too is they kind of go into the thought process too. Is like he says he's thinking the ship was kind of magnetic, so I think that kind of led him to thinking about magnetic pickups on a guitar and them picking up a string. So there's actually like it's kind of deeper than just a cool sound at that point.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That is really cool. Are there any other special effects that guitars have participated in?
Knowing the way Ben Burtt operates, there probably are, but not that I know up off the top of the head. I mean, they're blended in with other things, like a lot of the stuff.
Sure.
That's the real kind of star as far as guitar sounds.
Yeah.
Is that sound effect. But the funny thing that goes along with that is on the soundtrack for that part of the movie, in the actual film, it's just kind of orchestral stuff. But on the soundtrack album, there is some guitar soloing during that part as well.
Way.
There's like some little shredding little bits there that for whatever reason they took out of the movie, but it's on the soundtrack. So it's kind of like the score and the sound effects were both kind of being inspired by guitar at that point.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I'll be digging into that after this interview. I'll be checking that out. And what a cool film, obviously, Attack of the Clones. I know it's a big focus for Blastpoints. It's Blastpoints year, isn't it, for you guys?
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's Attack of the Clones year for us, and we're
doing
one Attack of the Clones episode each month, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
Great, man. So good. Hey, Gabe, how about the use of guitar in some of the newer stuff on Disney Plus? I'm thinking of The Mandalorian, also Visions. There's some cool guitar stuff going on there too.
Yeah, Visions, especially. What's the episode called? The Tatooine Rhapsody is pretty much the whole rock opera episode. Has so much guitar, kind of like pop punk kind of stuff, which you wouldn't necessarily associate with Star Wars.
Yeah.
But because they were able to kind of factor that right into the story with if it being about a band in the Star Wars universe, that they kind of made all of that work, which was really cool. But then, if you get into Mandalorian, it's really interesting with Ludwig Göransson, because he kind of mixes the guitar in ways you wouldn't expect. And the fact that just his workflow is kind of, even when there's orchestral stuff or synth stuff or guitar stuff, it all kind of gets processed and mixed together. That he's able to make the guitar almost in a way a sound effect and music at the same time, because it's not like there's continuous guitar through the score. So when the guitar comes in, it's kind of almost for effect at that point.
Yeah, I think he's been so successful in forging a new sound for Star Wars, but combining some, obviously, the Williams influences, but bringing in lots of new sounds, like electronic stuff, even the giant recorder in Mando. That's such what a cool sound, man.
Yeah, there's not many people who can claim that they made the bass recorder like the coolest instrument in the world. And it kind of, I mean, it still is. It's like you hear that sound and it's so, it's the Mandalorian. Like he picked an instrument that was kind of neglected by the world and kind of made it a signature sound for the show. Yeah.
That's awesome. And obviously in the recent Book of Boba Fett, when they dropped that little fragment of melody towards the end of the series, everyone's minds were blown because instantly we know who's coming.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I thought was really cool with the Ludwig Göransson stuff too is if you go back to the Disney Gallery episode, all on the soundtrack. That he's showing, he has one of those old was it the Gibson like synth guitar?
I think it's the Roland guitar synth. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it was a Roland. Yeah, and the fact that he was kind of using that to trigger synth sounds to get kind of this, things you wouldn't think of doing necessarily maybe with a keyboard or with all the modular gear he had, but going back to playing something kind of more organic on a guitar and then translating that to the synth too was not something I would have expected in the Star Wars soundtrack.
Yeah, and I had one of those guitars, but I didn't have the older big foot controller that I think Ludwig's got. And it was relatively early guitar synth technology, so it's not super perfect. It's quite glitchy. But he's obviously embraced that and morphed that into his into his plan. That that gallery episode is awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous of his music space where he's just got all his instruments and everything. It's got to be nice getting up in the morning and going to work in that space.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of toys to play with there.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was as much guitar in Book of Boba Fett, but I think, am I right in saying the musical composition was shared between Ludwig and some other guys?
Yeah, with that, what was his name? I actually have it. Yeah, Ludwig did the themes, like he wrote the main Boba theme, but the actual scoring of all the episodes was Joseph Shirley, who is someone, I think he was an assistant on a lot of his other scores. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he came in and did a great job as well. And it's kind of cool with that show where it is kind of variations on those themes, but they were able to get, a whole season's worth of music that was interesting and exciting, even though it was all kind of building off that initial Boba Fett theme and a little bit of the Mandalorian stuff. And then the fact at the end of the season, they threw in the version with vocals just as icing on the cake in the last episode.
Yes.
It was pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty killer. It's a pretty good time to be a Star Wars fan. It's just in general, outside of the music, just in general, there's so much cool stuff coming up. I'm going to be super interested to see what happens with Kenobi in terms of music, because the televised series, which have been going gangbusters for Disney, they've all had a new stamp on them in some ways, whilst trying to be respectful and connected, obviously, to the cinematic releases of the past.
Yeah, that I'm very curious about that as well, because we kind of, even with the kind of mixing it up with Book of Boba, we kind of got used to the kind of Ludwig style, kind of mixed between orchestral with some electronic music mixed in, and it seems like Kenobi's most likely going to go in a different direction. Maybe it'll be more orchestral like the films, maybe something totally unexpected, but I don't know if they've even announced the composer yet that I can remember. Unless, have they said anything? I don't think so.
Not that I've heard. I mean, I could have missed it. There's a lot of, obviously we're about, I guess, 5 weeks out, so there's a lot of chatter going on right now. But I don't think I've seen the composer's name.
Yeah, and it's only Star Wars fans have to be less than just over a month away from something and have absolutely no idea what we're in for. Like they love to keep secrets now, and definitely ramps up the excitement. But
definitely,
it would be nice. It would be nice to know who's doing the music.
Yeah. Back to Boba Fett. I just remembered something as well. Musicians around the world were so excited to see Max Rebo was still alive and gigging and working. Yeah. He's the journeyman. He just reinvents himself for whatever gig he's doing. The pop stuff in Return of the Jedi. He's classed up his act for the Sanctuary in the Book of Boba Fett. He's always working and pulling in musicians. One of the first scenes we see him in Boba Fett is jamming on the Cantina song with a very Latin version of it, and there's one of the Cantina musicians doing a nylon string guitar part. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when we were, I was thinking about Star Wars guitar stuff. That one totally slipped my mind that there was the guitarist in that band now kind of keeping that going.
Yeah. It was almost like the elevator version of the Cantina song.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea that, maybe Max was more into, hard jazz or something in his younger days, but now he just got to pay the bills. So he's whatever pays.
Oh, every musician can relate, I'm sure. So that he does what he has to do. Gabe, is Max still alive? What's your take?
I'm pretty sure he's still alive, because when the club explodes, they don't show him, and they make sure they show the band, but they don't show him. So I'm pretty confident that he's still alive. I think people were too excited for him to be back for them to take him away so soon.
I think so too. I think that was quite deliberate. In fact, that's one of the first things I said when the whole place blew up. I said Max Rebo wasn't there.
Yeah.
He pulled in some subs that night.
They made sure to give us a little bit of a hint there that he's still alive somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, obviously the drumming, was it an R4 droid playing the drums? Obviously wasn't as lucky.
No, or the Biff playing the clarinet or guitar. Those guys.
Yeah.
Which I can't tell if that was a different guy or the same guy just switching instruments that night. But I don't think he made it.
Is the so is that species the canteen? Are they called Biffs? Did you just say?
I believe it's Biff. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Cool. I
could be wrong, but I think that's what they're called.
Okay, awesome. That's so good. On the Blastpoints podcast, one of the cool things is there's lots of great arrangements which you're responsible for, musical arrangements of Star Wars themes, the main theme, but also things like recently the dyad themes which you released, both the Kylo and the Rey version. So your own arrangements of some of these really cool, iconic pieces of music. And your arrangements, of course, feature big walls of guitar and really cool squelchy synths. What's your musical background that you bring to the show?
So in the specific case of Blastpoints, a lot of that goes back to a band from, I think, the mid-90s called The Rentals, which I don't know if you're familiar with, which was like a side band of the bass player and drummer of Weezer.
Oh, okay. No.
Awesome. So they had an album that came out, in mid-90s, back when Jason, the co-host on Blastpoints, and I were roommates in college. And that was an album that we both really enjoyed, which was kind of that, Weezer style heavy guitars with Moog synthesizers over top, kind of a 90s take on what Gary Newman was doing, or even maybe the Cars, something like that. Yeah. So when we first started doing the podcast and wanted to have intro music, we knew we wanted to do something with synthesizers because we both kind of are fans of that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I should just do it kind of in the style of this band, The Rentals, that we both like. And that was kind of where the intro music came from. And at that point, it's kind of become the Blastpoints style when doing, different intros. Because we did I did a similar thing for last year when we did Indie Year for Indiana Jones, a version of the Indiana Jones theme. Yeah. Same sort of approach for the dyad stuff. So that's kind of where that whole heavy guitar with synthesizer mashup kind of came from.
Awesome. Love it. How are you pulling those big fat guitar sounds?
Well, over the last couple of years, I've kind of figured out what I'm doing and have like a real guitar amp. So I think some of the earlier stuff was, I think I had what did I have? What did I use on that? Now I have a little orange, the OR15.
Oh yeah,
head.
Nice.
Which I've been using on some of the newer stuff. I think I had those the Tech 21 character series.
Oh yeah.
The little direct. Yeah, I had one of those that I used kind of in the older days. Mm-hmm. And then guitar wise, I have a couple Epiphones. I have an Epiphone Les Paul, which is pretty cool. It's one of the, what are they called? ES? They're like the hollow body ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice.
So they re-released those, I want to say 5 years ago. But this was like a 2001, I think is when I got it. So it looks like a Les Paul, but it weighs like 2 pounds. It's a hollow body. It's pretty cool.
Beautiful.
And then recently I got an Epiphone SG that I use as well. So those are kind of my main guitars that I've been using.
Rockin'. That's cool. And are you using the orange? Are you cranking the orange for the distortion?
Yes. Yeah. And I have what is that? The torpedo load box.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So,
nice.
It's not a very loud amp, but then, you can crank that through the load box. Perfect. And then you can play it through an impulse response. So, I have children, so I can't, crank it loud late at night. So usually, going direct is the way to go. But it works.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It sounds massive. Yeah, I can relate to the at-home jamming, definitely. But yeah, it sounds big, and you're often double tracking hard left and right, which is always fun. What are you doing for synth sounds? You mentioned those Moog style vintagey sounds.
Yeah, so synth stuff is something I've always been interested in, and really didn't start buying them, I think, until Blastpoints kind of gave me an excuse. So the early stuff I got, the reissue of the ARP Odyssey that Korg put out a few years ago.
Yep.
So that's got, it's not a Moog, but it's in the ballpark. But since COVID over the last 2 years, I've kind of been slowly getting other synths. So I have a Moog Grandmother,
nice.
Which is, a newer Moog, but it definitely nails that kind of, the older, almost modular Moog sound.
Yeah.
So I use those two a lot. And occasionally I'll use a plugin, but it's mostly just those two.
Mm-hmm. Great. Oh, sounds cool. They sound super cool. There's in the podcast occasionally there's a few hints of some 80s metal. There's some 80s metal references to some bands, and most overtly for the Boba, the Book of Boba Fett after show. You rewrote Rat's Body Talk. Is that by Rat? Have I got that right?
Yeah, that's Rat. Yeah,
and you turned it into Boba Talk.
Yeah, yeah. That was a lot of fun. That Rat's just one of those bands. I don't know. I always liked them. I always liked that song, and it just popped into my head. Hey, Boba Talk, and Rat's got 4 letters and 2 T's. Fett has 4 letters and 2 T's. So it's like it all kind of went together. And yeah, that's another thing I've done quite a bit for the show. And I think it's just because as a kid, I listened to way too much Weird Al Yankovic. So it's like anytime we can kind of throw in a parody tune, we've done that because we did the Boba Talk. We did an episode on General Hux.
Yeah.
And I did a kind of a cover of the Kiss song, Let's Put the X in Sex, but we did Let's Put the X in Hux. So another kind of cheesy 80s rock song.
I like that. I like that.
We both think was worth it. Yeah. So just, anything we can have fun with. And if it makes Jason and I laugh, then we do it. And hopefully other people, one, know what the heck we're referencing, and 2, enjoy it. So I think people do. So
definitely. I reckon too, there's probably a whole generation of listeners who don't know the origins, but are just digging the songs anyway. And then there's perhaps listeners of my generation who pick up the references and enjoy them on a couple of levels then.
Good. Yeah, at least if one other person enjoys it, then it's worth it. So,
yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Were you an 80s metal guy? Like, obviously some of these references are a little oblique, so I'm guessing there was some
what's funny is, so I was really into like thrash metal and death metal when I was a kid. So like when I think going back, it's like, as a younger kid, I think maybe Twisted Sister kind of gave me the itch, but was really into Metallica, Megadeth, Overkill, that kind of stuff. Then I got into like Napalm Death and Morbid Angel and the kind of early grindcore death metal stuff. That was kind of what I was into when I was younger, but I still would watch Headbangers Ball. So I knew all the hair metal bands and stuff, Poison, Winger, Whitesnake, all that stuff. I mean, it all kind of seeps into your blood. But yeah, for whatever reason, like Rat was just one I always enjoyed. And then Kiss, I just, I had some friends who were really into Kiss, and that kind of got me kind of obsessed with Kiss as well. And that's another kind of obsession that Jason and I share, is just kind of the love of Kiss. And it kind of, I think Kiss and Star Wars kind of go together because they're both kind of products of the mid 70s and the whole marketing and merchandising and kind of there's a whole world outside of the art. And I think that's kind of something that, Blastpoints enjoys, all that from the Star Wars side of things. And, Kiss just fits right in. So there's, a lot of Kiss overlap with Blastpoints interests.
Definitely in the artwork. That's a very obvious one, and elsewhere. I guess that ties into two. One thing I love about your show is that you guys are serious Star Wars fans. Like, you really, really know your stuff, but you embrace the craziness and the at times silliness of it, where perhaps some more serious fans will lose their brain, or you've destroyed the story of Star Wars. You'll embrace the crazy stuff. So that larger than life Kiss thing, I mean, that totally ties in with that.
Yeah, I like to think that we talk about the stuff that we really enjoy. Like, we honestly, like, I think we've talked about it on the show. Like, if we weren't doing the show, we would be calling each other and talking about the same stuff we're talking about on the show, because we live in different cities, and we got this crazy Star Wars stuff in our brains, and we have to talk to somebody about it. And we want to talk. So it comes from a place of love. It's just, you can't help what you love and what you like, and sometimes you just like weird stuff, and you kind of got to embrace it, or you drive yourself crazy. So we're just glad we can share it, and there's other people that kind of appreciate our take on things.
This episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course put together by Joe Elliott, ex-head of guitar at the Guitar Institute of Technology and the McNally Smith College of Music. I was one of the beta testers for the course, and can say, as a music educator, I was really impressed by the logical sequence of learning. The course has also been endorsed by players such as Brett Garsed and Greg Koch. For more details, check out the links in our show notes. How about Star Wars inspired bands? Have you checked out any bands that take the music, I guess, kind of in the way that you have, and then make it their own? I mean, the one that sticks out to me is Galactic Empire, who do their metal versions of the themes, and they dress up in the costumes and play, and they seem to have a really big presence in that space. Are you aware of those guys or any other bands doing this stuff?
Yeah, Galactic Empire is great. It kind of took me a while to warm up to them, I'll be honest, because in 2007 I was trying to kind of start a similar thing. Like, I am not as good a guitar player as the guitar players in Galactic Empire, but I started like doing some demos of kind of thrash metal Star Wars songs. And then my daughter was born, and life kind of happened, and I never got back to it. And then when, I was glad to see somebody do that, because the John Williams stuff is so perfect for metal. Like, it's kind of crazy how metal John Williams really is when you translate that stuff.
Yes.
But once I kind of, just started listening to it, they do such a great job of reinterpreting those songs. So that's great. There was a band. I only found this out maybe in the last 5 years. There was a band in the mid 90s called Noothgrush. It was just like a sludge metal band. And they had a demo called Kashik with Star Wars art and song titles, and they did a real sludgy version of Imperial March.
Nice.
So that's kind of I think the oldest, just like metal version I can think of. But big fan of all the Miko stuff. Like the Star Wars Disco is one everyone kind of knows from the original movie, but his Empire Strikes Back album has tons of guitar in it.
Oh, wow.
It's a little more like, because that came out in 1980, so it's starting to bring in the early 80s rock sound with a little bit of the disco beat.
Yeah.
So, he does the Asteroid Field music with heavy guitars. I mean, heavy for 1980, but it's got a lot of guitar in it. That's been a favorite of mine. And then going back, I think we've played clips of this on Blastpoints a few times. There's a Japanese guitarist, Masayoshi Takanaka, who is I think he's like a surf guitar kind of guy. Okay. But he did a thing called Star Wars Samba in '78, which is with a samba version of the Star Wars theme with slide guitar. And there's a nice. I think a live version on YouTube and an album version that's really great. So I mean, Star Wars guitar rock kind of goes all the way back to the original, really.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to chase up a lot of this stuff. I'll leave some links in the show notes with whatever I discover. So if you're listening at home, hopefully I can put in some directions. But this is awesome, Gabe. This is gold. You're unearthing for us here.
Yeah. Well, the other great thing too, if you look up Masayoshi, is I think his big thing is he has a guitar made out of a surfboard. So it's literally a surfboard with a nice hole where the neck is, and he's like playing a surfboard. I think that was like his big way to end concerts. So there's videos of him doing that. That's really great.
That's always cool. I don't know if you're aware of Jude Gold. He's a guitar player currently in Jefferson Starship, and he wrote for Guitar Player magazine for years. Amazing guitar player. He there's no recorded evidence of this, but he had a band when he was younger called ACD2.
That's great.
The name says it all. And it combined Star Wars stuff with AC/DC. So he's telling me they used to mash up the Cantina theme and Back in Black. I would love to hear that. So, Jude, if you're listening, dig out those demo tapes, man.
That would be great. Well, that reminds me, we didn't talk about too, that there is kind of some guitar rock crossover with Star Wars back from the holiday special.
Yes.
With Jefferson Starship too. I totally slipped my mind.
Every Christmas I send Jude a little message, when are you going to put Ride the Sky into the set list?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Surely anyone who's stuck with this episode this far will know the holiday special, and the hologram of Jefferson Starship on the game board thing. Amazing.
Yes. Singing into the pink lightsaber microphone. It's kind of
perfect.
Disturbing to look at if you look at it too hard.
Yeah, that's special. I know we've all noted with interest Disney Plus has not reissued or acquired all the rights to release that. Obviously, the Faithful Wookiee, the Boba Fett cartoon, is on Disney Plus, but nothing else from the holiday special.
No, I'm optimistic. Someday maybe we'll get it, but yeah. Until then, there's always YouTube.
There's always someone's got it up on YouTube. Hey, you mentioned the surfboard guitar. There's been some cool Star Wars gear built over the years. There's heaps of guys who've just built stuff as one-offs or custom pieces like Millennium Falcon shaped guitars and stuff like that. Are you aware of much of the production line stuff that's come out over the years? Like Fernandez had a whole series of things in the prequel era, which were really cool.
Yeah, I remember the Fernandez guitars when they came out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever saw one in person. I don't think any of the music stores by me had one. I remember looking at them in catalogs.
Yeah.
They're really cool. I think at the time I was probably thinking the prequels are coming out. Why aren't there any like prequel characters on the guitars?
Okay.
But I get they were going with the original trilogy because there was the Darth Vader one, Stormtrooper, Boba Fett. Actually, was Yoda on one?
I think he was. Yep. I'm pretty sure.
So maybe that was their prequel one, was a Yoda.
Yeah, it did look like CGI Yoda on that guitar, rather than puppet Yoda.
Yeah. But yeah, those were cool, and I get there's not probably a huge demand for that. That was kind of maybe a miracle that happened. But I'm glad it did. It was cool. And I know I've seen, like you said, there's kind of one-off custom stuff over the years, but do you know of any other ones that were kind of officially released?
The only ones that stick out to me, Fernandez also had the Zoe guitars, so the little travel guitars from the same range, and they were a bit more affordable, and I think they had very similar graphics. There might have been an R2-D2 one as well. They're these really little guitars. Zoe, apparently it's Japanese for elephant. These guitars look like a little elephant shape, and they're very small. So they're kind of cool. I see them popping up on like Reverb and some of the Japanese auction sites from time to time. They're pretty expensive. They've gained value over the 20 odd years. I know Peavey have released some guitars. Also, Marvel graphic guitars Peavey have done some of. Again, this is a few years ago, and I don't think they're doing them anymore. Yeah,
I think were those travel guitars, those are the ones where they had like a speaker built into them, right?
Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah. So now that you're talking about that, I'm remembering those, and it's kind of like, I think because there was some similarity in the graphics, it's kind of like in my mind, which one am I looking at? Because I want to say there was like the Boba Fett for both versions, and some of them were maybe exactly the same, but maybe formatted differently for the size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool stuff. I'm seeing lots of pedal builders these days incorporating some Star Wars graphics. Have you seen the hand torn?
I have. I've looked at that lots of times, and I think maybe I should get that because I don't have like a what is it? The Klon style overdrive pedal. I don't have one of those. So I'm like, oh, maybe I need one. And that's, is just such a clever design too, where it's like, it's a centaur, but it's Han on the top and Tauntaun on the bottom. Like it's too good of an idea that
it is too good.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe tonight I'll go order one. I don't know. It is really a great idea. They also have the No Moon pedal too. I don't know if you've seen that.
No,
which has it's a crazy pedal. It has a tube screamer, a rat, and a muff.
Nice.
All in one pedal. They all run in parallel, not in series.
Oh, okay.
And the graphic is like the cycles of the moon, but it's a Death Star. So, and it's just called No Moon. So that one looks pretty good as well. If you need all those pedals in one enclosure
in parallel, that would destroy small planets, surely.
Yeah.
That's great. There's so much fun. I've seen other ones with just graphics. So I've seen pedals with like stormtroopers on them. I always think the JHS 3 series, the new series, they're all white. You could just whack a stormtrooper sticker on any of those. They would look cool. They've got all that blank space.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they don't have some sort of Star Wars similar thing, because their names are always kind of so tongue-in-cheek too. You would think that they would catch the white stormtrooper thing and have something, but yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So much fun with all this stuff. Awesome, Gabe. It's been so fun speaking with you. Is there anything coming up on Blastpoints or any music you're working on? Anything you want to tell us about?
Music. I mean, someday I'll probably do some original music, but I just need to find the time, which I'm sure people can relate to.
Yeah.
But Blastpoint stuff, we're doing our monthly Attack of the Clones stuff, Star Wars Celebration, which if you're just a guitar person and not a Star Wars person, is the big every few years Star Wars convention that they have different places in the country. That's going to be in California this year. We're going to be at that,
great.
Absorbing all the Star Wars-ness and, talking to people and hanging out. And if you like Star Wars, definitely check out our podcast, Blastpoints. We have a website, blastpointspodcast.com. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. If you just search for Blastpoints Podcast, you'll find us.
Great. And I'll add some links as well. But you guys are easy to find. And yes, for Star Wars fans, it's such a good show, such a fun show, but lots of depth as well. So again, you guys balance that, both sides of the Force, very well. And I really appreciate it. Well, Gabe, it's been so fun talking about this. It's so fun linking the guitar with Star Wars. Like we said at the front, maybe not an obvious link, but if you dig a little bit, even not very far, there's heaps of cool stuff. And it's been so fun looking at all this stuff with you today. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure.
All right, there you go. Gabe Bot talking Star Wars and guitars. That was heaps of fun. I love that. Hope you enjoyed the conversation too. Hey, a couple of things to reflect on from the interview. When Gabe said he'll be at Star Wars Celebration, what he means is that he and Jason Gibner, the other co-host of Blastpoints, they're actually presenting a panel there, which is massive, which is a huge big deal in Star Wars land. Also, the Kenobi series has just released. So when we were speaking, we didn't know who the composer was, but we've since found out it is Natalie Holt is writing the score, which is amazing. I just saw the new episodes. And John Williams himself composed a theme the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme, which is of course integrated into those episodes too. So that's kind of cool. A couple of bonus details there for you. All right, thank you so much for joining me. My thanks to Fretboard Biology for partnering with this show for so long now. I love those guys. Thanks to Joe and Todd out there at Fretboard Biology. Please check out the links in the show notes. And you can check out any of our other 204 previous episodes on the Guitar Speak podcast. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get pods. If you haven't subscribed, please add us to your favorite pod list and you'll get these episodes dropped into your pod player for free every time we release one. All right, time for me to go, but of course I want to leave you with the words of wisdom from Michael Schenker from UFO and the Scorpions, because he once told me,
keep rocking, keep on rocking.
Hey, keep on rocking indeed, and may the force be with you.